Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us today. Hope your weekend is starting off well. It is already, if you can believe, September 9th. We are into September, and we appreciate you joining us here on the Minnesota Real Estate Show Saturday mornings from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. You're always welcome to join us throughout the show with questions, comments, thoughts that you have. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Luminate Bank right here in the Twin Cities, and then, of course, Scott Wolmering and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team, REMAX Advantage Plus. In studio today, we've got our friend, Mr. Steve Stalock, standing right next to us. It's going to be a fun show. We're on CCO, on WCCO, and a quick note for you is that next week we're going to be at our permanent time, which is 10 a.m. So obviously right now it's 11, but the show is going to be 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And Scott, good morning to you, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, next week we're excited to have our permanent 10 o'clock spot. We will be following the what's the name of the show?
Andy Lindis and Lindis Construction, the home improvement show. So that'll be great.
Yeah, so we'll have home improvement rolling right into the real estate show, which will be awesome. Like Ryan said, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us during the show. Excuse me. Our show topic this week is things to look for or to ask when you're interviewing a real estate agent. So when you're hiring somebody, what are some things you should look for? What are some attributes before you decide on who you're going to hire?
Yeah, again, I hope the weekend is starting off well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We've been on air here in the Twin Cities for a number of years. Excited to be on News Talk 830 WCCO. Obviously, we're in studio here at downtown Minneapolis for the show. We enjoy doing that, and always welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. 612-294-6949. And here we go. We are getting ready to go live on air. Thanks again for joining us on social media, wherever you might be catching us: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. Thanks, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us and thank you for tuning in, everybody. September the 9th, 2023. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show hosted by Mr. Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans and Luminate Bank, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team, REMAX Advantage Plus. We are live here in studio at News Talk 830 WCCO every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show. This is a local real estate show where we provide helpful tips, news, information, just a lot of good content to help you, whether you are looking to buy a home, sell a home, invest in real estate, or frankly, you've just been a longtime homeowner and you're curious what's going on with the market. You love to kind of keep tabs on things. You can join us by call or text to the CCO talk and text line, or 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us. 612-294-6949. Scott, good morning to you, bud.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are local and live every Saturday. This week 11 to noon. Next week starting our permanent spot at 10 o'clock. Love your feedback, love your comments during the show. 612-294-6949. If you've not checked us out, you can go to mnrealestateshow.com and find out everything you need to know about the team. Like Ryan said, we do always have a show topic. This week, we're going to be talking about things to look for when you're interviewing a real estate agent. So you're going to sell your house. You're going to meet with 3 or 4 agents. What are some questions you should ask? What should be important? What should you look for? So we're going to talk about that. And then we also do get into our real estate updates at the beginning of the show.
Absolutely. First segment of the show, we always do like to do a real estate update for you here. Mortgage rates, again, talking to Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Luminate Bank. Rates, again, are in the 7s. They have been sort of steady in the 7s here, really the last few months. That's obviously affecting affordability, affecting a lot of things from a buyer's standpoint. From a real estate standpoint, Scott, new listings year over year, and again, this is the Twin Cities specifically, increased slightly there were 1,282 new listings that came on the market. Pending sales down 10% year over year. Pending sales down 923. And then the overall inventory is at 8,178 homes for sale in the Twin Cities. Scott, that's down 13% year over year. We got a caller here. Looks like Jim has called into the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Jim, thanks so much for calling our show. And how can we help?
Is trying to think on selling her house in Oakdale, and she says the county's telling her there's a lien or another mortgage on it, and she had just refinanced it. And I thought it would have been cleared up. Help me find out who holds the other mortgage on it.
Okay. Who holds the other one? Scott, you have any initial thoughts?
Yeah, what I would do. So you said you just went through a refinance. Okay, so the title company that did your refinance would have done a title commitment on the home, and that would show any liens that were there, anybody that had any interest in the property. So I would probably start, Ryan. I don't know if you have a different thought, but I would probably start with the title company and take a look at that title commitment to see what's out there, and that'd be the first step.
Yeah, especially with that refinance, that's a good idea. Whoever you hired, in this case, to do that refinance, that will allow you to determine mortgages, what's going on that front, essentially, and just to be sure that everything is dialed in correctly from that standpoint.
Yeah, and the chances are, if you did the refinance, you should have title insurance. Normally, they would have at least asked you, but normally on a refinance, it's pretty common that you're going to have title insurance. So if you have title insurance and there is a glitch, that's what it's for. They'll step in and take care of it. So hopefully you've got that in place.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you for listening to the show. We are grateful for that. Hope you and your family are having a good weekend. And again, when we look at inventory, Scott, again, we're down year over year, 8,178 homes for sale. There was a great article this week that talked about new construction, Twin Cities new construction. This is the start of the parade of homes today, September 9th. And what was interesting about the article is that they were talking about that the higher mortgage rates aren't stalling the Twin Cities area home building. They showed that, again, with even 30-year fixed rates, Scott, in the 7.1, 7.2 range, builders in the Twin Cities pulled 571 single-family permits during August, and that's 66% more than last year. A lot of people are building the home right now.
Well, they are, and builders jumped on. I've never seen builders respond as quickly as they did to this change in the market. I mean, normally it takes 6-8 months for things to kind of filter in before anybody, us builders, anybody else thinks it's real. What builders have done is they've moved in quickly. So rates went to 7.5. They immediately, the majority of them, went to a way to give buyers a reduced interest rate. So for example, Fieldstone Homes, great homes. If you're out looking, Brian Wolf's the owner of that company, great company. They'll be in the parade. Go take a look at some of their stuff. But they bought most of their rates down point to 1.5. So if rates are at 7.5, you might have a 6% rate with them or a 5.75% rate with them. And a lot of builders have done that. And I think it has spurred on the interest because, if you're 2% less on an interest rate building with a builder, you're going to go that route.
Yeah, we are seeing, again, just from a market standpoint, was having a great chat with Heidi Huseth, who's an awesome agent on the Minnesota real estate team this morning. She was talking about the everything 300 and under that she's been showing in the Twin Cities, multiple offers. She named a variety of locations. But what she also said, which was interesting, is some of the clients are thinking because we are in the sevens that we're going to wait to hold off on buying. And of course, there's a lot of opinions on this, but it generally seems interest rates are where they are. We're at a historically low inventory of homes for sale. Prices are not going down. Again, we're in it, feeling the business daily. Scott, what is going down though are rents because we have more rental units available.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the question we've been asked. You're asked every year. If you've been in this business as long as I am, it's always, oh my God, we've got record inventory levels, 34,000. Should I wait? We've got record low inventory levels. Should I wait? Interest rates are so low. Should I wait? Are they going to go down? Interest rates are so high. Should I wait? Are they going to go down? I mean, that's the question we're always asked. Normally, it never makes sense to wait. Prices are going to go up. We've got low inventory, so right now, the next 3 to 4 months, if you're a buyer, is the best time to buy. September, October, November, December. If you don't have a home to sell and you're just buying, pin your ears back. This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, again, we appreciate you joining us on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Your questions, your texts, your interaction is always welcome. This is a local show. It's meant to be fun, informative, and provide you value. Again, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, or frankly, you're just interested in what's going on with real estate. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show on WCCO. Thanks so many folks for joining us on social media. We appreciate it. I hope your weekend is going well. We are in studio. Here we got Steve.
Hey.
Steve Stalock with us, Mr. Scott there as well. Shout out to our buddy Mike Overson, who wasn't able to come in today. Mike and his team do an awesome job from a lending standpoint. Steve, what do you think of the new digs here?
It's very nice, very cozy, bright, roomy, got a lot of elbow room. What else do you need to know?
Versus the last place we were in, that was like a closet.
Oh, it was nice. You liked it. It was a little different
cozy.
setup.
Well, we had a puppy.
We did have a puppy.
Yeah,
That
so
was
you know,
awesome.
there's perks.
Yeah, JoJo was awesome with the puppy in studio. But again, we're going to 10 o'clock starting next week. So the show's always going to be 10 to 11. We got a great team here at WCCO helping us. Josh Wheeler does an awesome job each week coming in and helping us with the show. Great guy to follow on Twitter too. Love following Josh. A lot of good content on Twitter as well. But Scott, hiring an agent, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we should probably back up and maybe talk the reversal before we talk hiring. So the main negative feedback from sellers. So the things that they do not like about agents. When you go out, my home just expired. I was listed with another agent. Now I'm looking to hire somebody else. So when you ask them, well, what are the frustrations? The number one frustrations with a seller is lack of information, lack of communication, and a lack of response time from their agent. You hear that just across the board. You know, somebody just like you, Scott, came in, whoop-de-doo, we're going to do all these incredible things to sell your house, and then as soon as I list it, I don't hear what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I have no information. So the first question I would ask an agent is, tell me about your process. How do you communicate? How am I informed about what you're doing to sell my house? Is it verbally? Is it by email? Do you have a system in place? So that would be one of the first questions I would ask.
Yeah, it is a common thing that can happen. And again, as we're entering this kind of market where the more expensive your home is, generally speaking, we're seeing some increased market time throughout the Twin Cities, Western Wisconsin. And so, the days of immediately it's selling may not be the case. And so you need a really good agent who's going to communicate what's going on. Are we doing open houses? Are we getting feedback? What is the feedback? What are people saying about prices, et cetera? Steve, those are common things that people want to know.
So it's a good list of things. I remember when I interviewed my realtor, all I did was say, Scott, are you available?
Said I need help.
I needed help. So it'll be interesting to hear all the details.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us on the talk and text or the WCCO talk and text line really at any time throughout the show with questions that are coming in. Question here. Tamara saying home inspection business also down significantly this year, Steve?
It's been mixed. So transactions are down, but with last year, the velocity of sales was insane. So this year it's not quite in that range, and most buyers are able to negotiate an inspection. So I've seen a bump. It's just been real streaky. I'll get really, really crazy busy, and then it softens a little.
Right. Yeah, it is.
It's strange.
Definitely, again, we're seeing more people do a home inspection across the board. We're going live back on News Talk 830 WCCO. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend is going well. We are into September. The Parade of Homes starts today. Definitely get out, check out a lot of the awesome builders here in the Twin Cities, throughout Western Wisconsin as well. And again, we welcome your questions, comments, thoughts, 612-294-6949. Or again, on the WCCO talk and text line at any point. Scott, each week we like to feature a few of our listings for our sellers. And the first one, Mr. Rodolfo Trujillo, RT has got a great one, Scott, in Minnetonka, 3635 Sunrise Drive East in Minnetonka. It's listed at $624,900, and it is a 2-story colonial home. And it's got a recently remodeled kitchen. Main level has a beautiful hardwood floors. Some of the key features include a great formal dining, main floor laundry, office, sunroom, oversized 2-car garage. And it's got a great backyard with a cool fire pit area and a large deck. So check that one out, 3635 Sunrise Drive East in Minnetonka. And then Heidi Huseth, who I was just talking about, has a great condo listing, 1502 5th Street North, number 212 in Hopkins. It's priced at $245,000. Not many twos,
No.
Scott, in this market. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath, a prime Hopkins location. It's a southwest facing corner unit. It's got tons of large windows, natural light, open kitchen, in-unit laundry, heated garage, and a newer furnace and AC unit. Check that one out. 245, 1502 5th Street North, number 212 in Hopkins. Scott, again, as Heidi was mentioning, multiples on a lot of the single family properties, 300 and under.
Yep.
And it's an interesting market right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely that. So prices have not gone down. Okay, so we're still at roughly about $380,000 as the median sale price. But I would argue that pricing has gone down in some of the mid-range price points. So, for example, townhomes from $350,000 to $500,000. I think they've adjusted down. Single-family homes from $600,000 to $900,000. I think have adjusted down. $450,000 to $550,000 is not getting the pop that they did a year ago. Now, whether the pricing has gone down or just a little bit slower in market time, but I would agree with Heidi. Anything under $350,000, $400,000, because we still only have 8,000 homes in the market, is going to get a significant pop. You can think that's the most affordable number single family out there, which is going to be the bulk of your people.
Yeah, again, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and we welcome your questions, comments, thoughts to the CCO talk and text line, or 612-294-6949. Again, 612-294-6949. Today's topic, each week we like to dive into a set topic, is all about determining, hey, when I'm going to hire an agent from selling my house, from buying a home. The interesting thing, Scott, is I was chatting with a team member who was an out-of-state buyer and had reached out to our team online. They had Googled us and said, hey, looks like you guys are a great team. You're all over the Twin Cities. I'm from Michigan, and I'm interviewing, in this case, 10 agents on buying a home. Is that common?
No.
And why not?
Well, it's not common. It's just that's a whole lot of work to go through to find an agent to work with you on the buying side. Besides that, they're different. So we were talking today specifically about what to look for when you're hiring an agent to sell your home. And typically, most sellers will interview, 2 to 3 to 5 different teams, different agents to make that decision. On the buyer side, it's normally a different motivation that people have. On the seller side, you want someone that understands the market, that is driven, that is a great negotiator, that has a super reputation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. On the buying side, normally, if you take a national statistic, why did you choose your buyer's agent? I liked them and I trusted them.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons that you choose a buyer's agent. Somebody that, first of all, you're going to be working with for a while. You're going to have a lot of communication with. So you do need to like them or the person, and you also need to trust them. That's about as normally as deep as it goes with looking for a buyer's agent. It's much more complicated on the listing side.
Yeah, one other thing too is from a buying standpoint, of course, having your agent who knows a city, knows a market, knows a neighborhood. How is the agent's knowledge transactionally from guiding you through the transaction, from knowing how to structure offers in a multiple offer situation, from just understanding the process, working with other agents from our friends at all the different great companies in the Twin Cities, Coldwell Banker, Edina Realty, Keller Williams. Are you an agent that that works well with other agents? That's a super important super important piece, Scott, that people sometimes forget.
Yeah, back to the listing side. So when you're interviewing to hire a listing agent, we're going to go through some of the things that you should do. One thing that just popped up when you said that, and I've made this argument for years, that when you're hiring a buyer's agent, it is somebody that has to have a very good reputation, because when you're in multiple offers, one of the things that's going to give your offer a boost is who the agent that you're working with. Do people know that person? Do they know there's not going to be any issues? Do they know because you're working with that agent that you're a solid buyer, and so on? On the listing side, it's the same thing. If you're interviewing 5 agents, it's important to ask the other agents, hey, you know what? I'm interviewing you, Scott Wollring, Ryan O'Neill. What do you think of those guys? And every agent at that table should have complimentary, oh my God, you know what? I'd love, obviously, if you were to work with me, but Ryan O'Neill is an incredible agent. Or Steve Wolf that you're interviewing, awesome agent. That's what you should hear from the other agents. If you hear things like, well, those guys are great, you might want to take a pause on this one. That's good information.
Yeah, it's just important to know again that when you're buying or selling a home, the agents are obviously doing their best to help you through the process itself, and they can work in a variety of capacities. Sometimes you find a neighbor's house, or you talk to your neighbor, you work out a price and a deal, and you need someone to facilitate the transaction, or in other words, put together the paperwork, guide you through the process. Agents can help you in that respect as well. And so it's just an interesting market, Steve. We're seeing, and again, we had a off-air question asking about home inspections, and obviously with less transactions this year, the question was, are you seeing that business down? And you said it's kind of streaky.
It's mixed. And actually, I'm seeing a different type of inspection come at my way too. One is sellers or homeowners who are planning to get their house on the market in the coming months, getting ready for that spring thing. They want to know what should I fix up? And one in particular, nice higher end home, they're thinking about going for sale by owner. So, I don't know. I probably wouldn't think that would be the way to go in this market. But I'm seeing that as an eye world too.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, I had a text that says, I own and live in a house I built 25 years ago. Scott, Ryan, the house has almost tripled in value. If I sell it, will I have to pay capital gains?
I'll answer it this way. If you are single and not married, you can have a $250,000 gain outside of any expenses incurred on that property the entire time you've owned it. So, for example, if you built it 25 years ago and you put in, shingles, you put in light fixtures,
a new deck,
you painted it, you did whatever. All of those are expenses incurred during the entire time that you own the property. So sale price minus commissions, minus sales costs, minus any improvements you've done to the property. If it's still more than a $250,000 gain, you're going to pay taxes on that gap. If you are married, it's a $500,000 gain. Everything else still applies. Any improvements you did, et cetera, during the entire time. But you and your wife can have a sale with a $500,000 gain as long as you lived in the property 2 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. The power of real estate is what your question shows. And if you're a first-time buyer, this is a good question. He says, he or she said, I own and live in a house I built 25 years ago. The house has almost tripled in value. It's hard to think as a first-time home buyer out 25 years, but that's the power of real estate, especially, and we will, over the years and time of doing the show, we'll talk about the Twin Cities market. this is a really solid long-term market. Scott, it's a good example. I know we're up against a break, how buying and holding can create a lot of wealth for people.
Yeah. So think about if you had 10 of those,
Yeah.
which is why you do investment real estate.
Yeah, again, really good question. We appreciate you joining us. You can join us on a talk or text line or 612-294-6949 here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. After the break, we're also going to be talking with our friend Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection, awesome partner with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and the Minnesota Real Estate Show. This is WCCO. Good. That was a good text question that Josh sent us. Really good point.
Yeah, people still think, and I mean, this rule has been in place now for a long, long time. But people still think that there's a one-time exemption. Remember, you used to be able to sell your primary residence one time when you were over the age of 63,
Right.
and not pay any taxes on your. And then they made that change to the 250 single and 500,000 married, and it's been a long time. But
Yeah.
a lot of people still, and if you built your house 25 years ago, you probably still thought that maybe was in place.
Yeah.
I had a question. You talked about improvements. Is there a difference between routine maintenance and improvement? So if I just re-roof, I mean, that's taking care of the home. That's not really an improvement, or would it apply?
It would apply any expense.
Any expense?
Yeah, any expense that you have. So any screw you put in your house over the next 25 years, that is deductible.
Keep
when you
track
sell-
of that
correct,
stuff.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, really good comments, and thank you for joining us, everybody. Here, hope your weekend is going well. We are at the halfway point of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Pray to Homes is starting today, as we mentioned. And Steve, as we look at the home inspection business, for agents listening, for existing homeowners listening, thoughts, tips, strategies for those?
And just in terms of searching, or
Yeah, just anything that you have for agents, for homeowners.
well, get plugged in with a good inspector. A lot of good buyers agents, as they're going through showing houses with potential buyers, sometimes they'll come across something they haven't seen or something that concerns them, and they'll shoot off a text with a photo and ask me for questions. And sometimes I can answer real quick, is this an issue or not? So as they're going through showings, it's like, is this something we should avoid, or is that something, that's going to, are we not, shouldn't we be worried about this? So I do get those quite a bit from realtors as they're going through showings. That's kind of a way to have me there, but not have me there.
Okay. And how about for existing homeowners, tips, thoughts, strategies as we enter the fall?
Well, now we are, and that was actually something I wanted to chat about today, is even though we just have passed probably the hottest days of the year, now is the time you've got to be planning your winterization. We're not that far around. I am telling buyers right now, it's like, I ask them what their closing date. Oh, it's late September. It's like, okay, you got a sprinkler system. You're going to have to do utilizing. People move in and they don't realize, it gets them by surprise, that you really got to be taking care of that winterization stuff. And a lot of times they move in and forget about it because they're too busy with other things.
Yeah, one of the things I get a call a lot of times from new agents that are asking about lenders, who they should use, how they should form a relationship, inspector, who should they use. And one of the things that new agents are always worried about is getting an inspector that's not going to blow deals up. And I always say it's the reversal of that. You want an inspector that is definitely going to blow deals up that need to be blown up, meaning that they find something that is a major issue for the buyer. You want those to be fine. What you don't want to have is an inspector that makes everything a mountain when they're just little molehills. And there are inspectors that do that as well.
Yeah, and I understand the motivation. Basically, my approach is just let knowledge be there, and if a house commits suicide,
That's right.
That's the house's issue.
Yeah. Here we go. We're going back live on News Talk 830 WCCO. Hope your weekend's going well. Hey, welcome back to the second half of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend is going well. This is a show hosted by Scott Woolmering, Mike Overson, myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We are a local team here in the Twin Cities. really throughout the state of Minnesota and Western Wisconsin with top agents that help buyers, sellers, real estate investors. And this is a show we've done for a long time here in the Twin Cities. Excited to be on CCO. Scott, before we dive in with Steve, another listing, Miss Sally Gill, a great agent with the Minnesota real estate team and Remax Advantage Plus, has one in Lakeville, 20555 Iceland Avenue for $360,000. Scott, it's a well taken care of Rambler, and it's within walking distance to the downtown of Lakeville. 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-car garage stall, and it has an attached 2-stall garage and an oversized 2-car detached garage. It's got a great backyard, a ton of driveway space. Check that one out online, 20555 Iceland in Lakeville. And then Brad Benson has one at 31633 Newport Curve. Scott, it's $420,000, and it's a 3-bed, 2-bath property, almost 2,000 square feet, one-level living. You love that one-level living.
I do love that.
It's a 2-year-old home. It's got everything done already with landscaping, lawn upgrades. The association takes care of the mowing and shoveling. There's low monthly HOA fees of $110. And then it's got, it's very open and bright. Anderson windows, vaulted ceilings, granite counters. And Brad just says, why buy new when you can have this 2-year-old home with everything done? That's 31633 Newport Curve. A nice one. Very nice one indeed. Steve Stalock, Win Home Inspection. Appreciate you joining us. You're an awesome partner with the show. What's cooking in your world in the home inspection business?
Well, thanks for having me here. It's a great day. And my business lately it reflects what's going on in the market. It's a little streaky.
Yep.
So business is up because buyers are able to negotiate a inspection, and business is a little down because there's fewer pendings. So that really drives my business. But right now, as we were talking on social media during the break, we are heading into winter, believe it or not. We just had our 100-degree days, but I am reminding my clients during inspections right now that they are about to take possession late September, early October. It is time to be thinking about winterization. If you've got a swimming pool, irrigation systems, you got to be thinking about getting that water, everything outside taken care of.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, as a first-time home buyer, Scott, that's just something. How do you learn how to do it? How do you learn how to do it when you have a great inspector like Steve? You're taking time through the process of that home inspection to show the buyer how to do that. That's what your inspector is doing.
In fact, actually, I am scheduling right now with a past client I inspected earlier this spring. I think they're first-time home buyers, and they were at the inspection. Information overload. There's a lot to learn about the house. Well, now as they're approaching wintertime, got an email and they said, hey, can you come back maybe an hour's worth, show us how to winterize, teach us again about how we're supposed to take care of this house. That's a really smart move, because now they've been in the house, they're familiar with things, but they're admitting we really don't know how to do this. And I'm going to go over and spend an hour at least showing them about various things and where am I inside, where do I turn the water off for the outside water, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Scott, you had a comment too about some agents will say, well, I don't want to hire a home inspector that's going to blow up deals, obviously cause problems. But the reality of it is you do want someone who will blow up the deal.
If it's a deal that should be blown up.
Yeah, because that's obviously in the best interest of the buyer looking to purchase the home. And a home inspector is different than a real estate agent. The agent is not a home inspector that's going to be analyzing the home. If it needs to be blown up, Scott, it should be done.
It should be done. I mean, it happens all the time, but I'll have a 6,000 square foot house I'll sell, and I'll have a buyer with their inspector in there for 45 minutes on the home inspection. And, and then I know that that's a 4-hour, at least a 4-hour home inspection with Steve. And I'm always thinking, that client is not getting what they're paying for. There's no way in the world you can do a 45-minute home inspection on a 6,000 square foot 2-story. And I see it all the time. So all inspectors are not created equal. And yes, you want an inspector that is going to find an issue if it's a real issue, so that you can deal with it. You don't want an inspector that is going to be like, oh my gosh, there's reverse polarity in all these outlets. Oh my God. And the buyer's like, oh my God, Reverse polarity, well, of course, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
But there are inspectors that do that.
There is always something to learn with every house, even if it is close to pristine. I do recall a home, boy, this is about 10 years ago. And the seller, I think it was an investment property, seller had never been in the attic. There was no disclosure about any issues. So I get up and, it was like, 2-story, might have been 2.5-story. I get up into the attic, ton of fire damage.
Mm.
It wasn't disclosed. The seller didn't know about it. They had never been in the attic. And all of a sudden, now we have a rather substantial issue because there had been some structural damage up in that attic and no one knew about it. What would have happened if that potential buyer had skipped an inspection and not learned that?
Yeah, super important
I mean-
things. One tip as well is if you are buying a townhome or a condominium, there is a 10-day period in Minnesota where you can review all of the condo documents. In other words, you can still have a home inspection with Steve Stalock. Steve will come through, look at the townhome and condo, but you also have a time to review all of the condo documents. And what's an important piece about that when you're buying a townhome is you have to realize you're now entering an association. Associations have rules. They have things they like, things they don't like. Is a garage included with the unit? Is no garage included with the unit? Is it covered? Is it inside? Is it outside? That, Scott, is the buyer's responsibility to verify that information with their agent and not just look at the documents quick and say, okay, great, we want it.
That's right. Yep. And also just a side note on association documents. You have 10 days by statute. It's the only thing in Minnesota that you cannot renegotiate. You can actually renegotiate the time frame a little bit. But you can't eliminate it. So you do have 10 days to 10 days. You could get a short time period to look at those documents. Normally, you're looking for, issues with, do they allow rentals? Do they allow a certain amount of pets that you might have? What's the financials look like? Those are the reasons you're looking at it. But the reality is that buyer has 10 days by state statute to back out of that contract for any reason whatsoever. They could have found another place they liked. They could have just all of a sudden woke up and the sky's blue and they decide they want to cancel. It is by state statute. They can back out.
And it's the same thing with, again, hiring a Steve Stalock. You as the consumer, you as the buyer have an agent who's helping you through the process. Steve works for you as the buyer. Steve doesn't work for the agent or either of the agents. The buyer, you are hiring Steve, and ultimately, Steve, you're doing what's ever in their best interest.
Absolutely. It's, as I always say, it's an education process. And potential buyers know nothing about the house. They were in that home, 15 minutes for a showing, 30 minutes tops. And now they're making a huge financial commitment. Now, they hire me to learn about the nuts and bolts and how the house really works. And that process does take 3.5-4 hours in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn.
Before the break, one other listing, Mr. Fong Kao, great agent with the team, Minnesota Real Estate Team Remax Advantage Plus, has one over in St. Paul, 1090 Palace Avenue in St. Paul, $639 is the price. And it's got an open layout. It's a 4-bed, 4-bath, and it's got a double lot. Unfinished bonus room above the garage, and it's got beautiful hardwood floors, Fong says. 1090 Palace Avenue for $639,000. Check out those photos online too. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social media. I hope your weekend's going well. Steve, you got any big plans rest of the day?
Inspecting.
Inspecting, all right.
Then I got to get down to see Mom.
All right.
So I got a full day.
Scott, how about you?
I've got a walkthrough on the closing on Monday after this in the Wilds in Prior Lake.
What type of property is that?
That is it's an upper bracket townhome. It's actually a kind of a Frank Lloyd Wright, right on the golf course. There's only 35 units in that development. It's they're very cool. They look they almost have like Chinese roof lines. But Steve did the inspection on it. They're really nice.
Big overhangs. They're beautiful homes.
Yeah.
Well built.
Yeah, they were actually built by Wensman Homes. By Herb Wensman back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I think the newer ones are through about 2004.
It is interesting to see again if you're renting right now with all the new apartments that have gone up in the Twin Cities. That is one thing we're seeing dip is rental amounts because of the increased supply. Ton of supply, guys, all throughout the Twin Cities. So we're seeing some rents dip. We're seeing more incentives being offered to people from a rental standpoint too. Not surprising.
Yeah. I mean, they had to. I mean, but it is amazing. They are just everywhere.
Yep.
Huge complexes. I mean, even south of the river, all over Burnsville, all over Lakeville, all over Apple Valley, and they're $2,200 to $2,600 a pop for a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
And it's like
expensive.
That's expensive.
Very
And
expensive.
They are literally filling them up.
Yeah, Steve, again, Staylock, longtime partner. If you go to mnrealestateshow.com, you can find all of Steve's information there. Any other thoughts for people today, Steve? Tips or things to be aware of?
I always tell people, walk around your own, let's say you're a homeowner, walk around your own house with the eye of a potential buyer. Be critical. And those things are the things that, boy, you shouldn't put off. You need to be taken care of. It's everyone's always ultra suspicious and critical as a buyer. And then you're like, as a seller, it's like, no, my house is perfect. It's like, yeah, you haven't walked around outside, have you?
It's like getting a physical.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need a physical. You go
Yeah.
in, you got problems.
Yeah.
You got issues.
All right, guys, I got to run to that walkthrough.
All right.
It'll be about half hour.
All right. Have a good, thanks.
See you, Scott.
It is interesting when you think about it, though, Steve, that again, do you actually take time to do that, to walk around the house? I mean, I think about when's the last time I've walked around the house?
The things that I see, obviously the sellers are completely unaware. They are not walking around their houses or not taking a look, because some of the things that I find, the deterioration, the rot, chimneys that are falling apart, now they're not looking at it. Otherwise, they would repair it. You would not let some things advance so far out of disrepair.
It's hard.
Yeah, I think it's completely, people are unaware.
Yeah, as you're watching the show from week to week, if you think of a good topic you would like, just let us know something you'd like us to talk about. Or again, you can comment anytime at all on the social media stream, wherever you might be catching us. We are live in studio next week. We're going to be there at 10 a.m. Or on live at 10 a.m. That will be our new permanent slot on News Talk 830 WCCO. So excited for that. Here we are. We're going back live on air right now. Thanks for joining us. Hey, welcome back to the final segment of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope your weekend is going well. Wherever you might be catching the show, we are happy you are joining us starting next week. The Minnesota Real Estate Show will be following Lindis Construction at 9 o'clock. Their outstanding show, and our show will be 10 o'clock from 10 to 11. And throughout the week, you have questions for us, comments, thoughts. And we are a local real estate team, the Minnesota Real Estate Team. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. And we have a top agent really all across the state of Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. Appreciate you joining us. Steve, it's been a pleasure having you on as always. Before I forget though, you got to be sure how can people reach you?
Well, my number is 952-891-4455. And since no one's got a perfect memory, what you do is you go to the website, mnrealestateshow.com. Great website. You've got your preferred partners. I think, are they on the left or across the top? Click on that, go to Home Inspectors and look for that handsome bald guy. That's me.
The handsome bald guy. I've been telling Steve for
I gotta
years
get that website.
to buy the website. Steve is a wonderful guy, though. He works with a lot of our friends at all the different real estate brokerages in the Twin Cities. Very well respected, and just a super great guy. So, Steve, we're grateful for you and all you do for the show.
Thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate working with everyone on your team. A lot of good, capable agents there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We're on the final stretch of the show. Before we head out, though, each week we do like to feature a number of our different listings just to let people know, hey, what's out in the marketplace right now. Matt Cullen has one in Woodbury. Matt is a great agent with Remax Advantage Plus in the team, and this one's 8423 Yearling Drive, and this is priced at $685,000. It is one level living. Matt said it's got a finished basement, and it's located on a corner lot with a pond in the back. And they mentioned that personal items can stay with the property, such as 2 large wall-mounted flat-screen TVs, a professional-size shuffleboard, pool table, and 2 new top-of-the-line refrigerators separate from the kitchen. And it also has a 2-season covered screened deck off the dining area. Really nice L-shaped cement patio too. Be sure to check that up. Again, 8423 Yearling Drive in Woodbury. Very nice listing. And then Miss Sue's got one in Minnetonka, 4212 Queens Way in Minnetonka for $449,900. It is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2-story home. It's got beautiful hardwood floors throughout, a formal dining room, eat-in kitchen, 2 fireplaces, fabulous patio, and a corner lot, half acres. 4210 Queens Way in Minnetonka. And one last one, Steve, with Miss Sue has this one in Balsam Lake, Wisconsin. 1527 Goose Lake Lane, 1527 Goose Lake Lane in Balsam, Wisconsin, for $599,900. And it's going live tomorrow on the market, September 12th. Or I'm sorry, in a few days, September 12th. It's a new build on Wild Goose Lake with lake access, west-facing, gorgeous sunsets, 2-bed, 2-bath, single-level living. It's got an open concept, custom cabinetry, quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, soaker tub, and a 32 by 42 heated pole barn with heated floors. Check that out online, 1527 Goose Lake Lane in Balsam Lake, Wisconsin.
Wild Goose Lake?
Balsam Lake, Wisconsin.
Lake. Oh.
Yep. Goose Lake Lane, a really nice one. We did have another text message question come in. What are you guys seeing for future values in the Twin Cities? Short answer is we are in a historically low still inventory level. Builders are more busy, as we talked about, because there's a lack of inventory. Anything, I would say, 350 to 400,000 in the Twin Cities area, still having a lot of demand, buyer demand. As you're getting more expensive, however, there is some pullback. Again, depends upon the neighborhood, the city, the price point. Your agent should help you do a really good analysis on that area to determine, how are things looking, what's current demand, that type of thing. But Steve, we are not seeing home values fall here in the Twin Cities.
In contrast, you were talking about the supply of rentals has largely increased. So what happens? Rents tend to soften a bit.
Yep.
So the supply really is king in both cases.
Yeah, there was an article this week that came out that talked about home equity levels in the United States are actually the highest level that they have ever been. There's a company called Attom, ATTOM, which is more of a real estate data company. And they came out and just said, with the rise in values, similar to our texter earlier, it said, look, our home values tripled in 25 years. People have equity right now. And so, of course, the rise in rates has caused some people to say, hey, I'm going to wait. But, when you talk to a lot of the mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, a lot of the experts out there, rates are kind of where they are. And we're not seeing rates that are going to be coming down anytime soon.
And, still historically, rates are still quite reasonable. And I can say that because I bought my first house in the 80s and rates were double digits. So
was it a single family townhome?
It was a single family home.
All right. Where?
I was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
There you
at
go.
the time. It was, gorgeous old house.
Price point?
Yes, bought it for $70,000.
$70,000. I remember
back in the day.
The first home I bought in 2001. It is a duplex that I own. I remember I paid $190 for it, and there were multiple offers. Was not a real estate agent at the time. I worked with a wonderful agent with Coldwell Banker who helped me But that's the crazy thing. Time helps a lot of those real estate wounds over time. But Steve, it's been a fun show. Great job today, bud.
Thank you. It's always great to be here. Very informative. You know, I am very involved in kind of the outskirts of real estate, and I learn stuff when I show up here.
Yeah, we're grateful for you listening to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We are here for you to serve you, the WCCO listeners. It's been a fun show. Big thanks to Josh for joining us. Hope everybody has a great weekend ahead. Take care. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Fun show. Awesome work, Steve.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Steve is a great guy. Fellow agents watching, listening, I encourage you to hire this guy for your home inspections. Work with him forever. Wonderful guy. Just does a great job. So appreciate you joining us. And Suzanne, I just noticed you got a nice open house. It looks like at 332 Long Lake Court. Open house today. That's a 3-level split, $415,000. So be sure to check that one out as well. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody. Vikings are on tomorrow. Go Vikes, and have a great weekend. Okay, we'll see you at 10 a.m. next weekend. Take care.